Welcome in to Wake Up 502 After Dark. This is your boy Raashaan Myers coming to you from the palatial home studios of Wake Up 502, joined by my two main men. Of course, the producer with the most, Mr. Roman Kelly, Romy Bean. Roman, how you doing, brother?
Doing great, doing great. Excited to be in here. Got to make sure we've got this music cut off and not playing. I don't know if you guys are still hearing it. I'm still hearing it.
Oh, really? No,
Countdown music.
I'm good. I hear, I'm good. I'm not hearing
No
anything, so I
music
think
on
it's
this
good.
end.
Must just be
Oh,
me,
yeah. No,
but
I
I'm doing
think
well. I'm
it should.
excited to recap a little bit of Eastern Kentucky and preview a little bit of James Madison and talk that shit, fellas, because this is the airways that we can do it on.
Absolutely, and we're going to be announcing a new award tonight. As you can see, we got the graphic up there. I was going to keep it a secret, but I guess we're going to leave it on the screen. It's going. If it was a secret, the secret is out. But we wanted to do something special this year, of course, for honoring the late great Joe Kelly. At that boy is good, of course, on Twitter and X. You guys know him, you love him, um, and we wanted to do something special for Joe, and we wanted to do something to kick off the Cardinal athletic season the right way. So we thought there would be none better to be able to do that than to announce the Wake Up 502 That Boy Good Player of the Week, and we're going to basically give this award out every week to the most outstanding player for the University of Louisville football and basketball games. We're going to do this all year. So, of course, during football season, we'll have a football representative. During basketball season, um, we're going to do a basketball representative. So, once it gets to football and basketball season combined, fellas, what you think? I figure, we'll probably end up doing two awards, a week. Do one for basketball, do one for football as well. So, this is a great way to, highlight all of the great athletes and all the great things going on with with the big time sports at the University of Louisville. And it's also a way to memorialize our boy Joe Kelly, and, just know that he is gone, but definitely not forgotten. So he's going to be a part of this show and continue to be that, a part of the show for years and years to come. So,
I'll let you go first, Haven.
Well, I guess I'll go first. Yeah, man. I'm excited.
all right, well, the,
This is what happens when you're streaming in the car.
yeah,
I'll go first here.
yeah.
I love.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes.
There he
He's
is.
back.
You checked
So,
out there, Haven. Hit
yeah,
us
so
with it
say that
again.
again. Hey,
Oh,
no, you sound like Bumblebee from the Transformers right now.
You can make more sense of Bumblebee. We'll
Oh
let
man.
Haven get to a better spot.
let me do this. Is this
That
There you
is
better?
go. Turn,
better.
turn turn the camera off. Yeah, you ain't got your suave picture, but I think we can hear you. Try it again, hey.
All right, is this better?
Yes, that's definitely better.
All right, good deal. Good deal. So I'm excited, man. So you know what? Let's kick off this conversation, man. Talking about EKU and Louisville, man. Last week, the brawl for it all, the battle for Kentucky. Probably the top three teams in the state went at it.
Yeah. No, it
Haven,
top
you
three.
just got to ask the question, my man. We're live streaming. We're live. We've got to stick to it here. We're announcing something right now. We got to discuss this. We've got this
Yeah,
award up on the
Well,
screen right now.
well, I thought we would announce like the player of the week, like literally like after we talk about the game and say, hey, this the guy was
yeah. Well,
MVP.
no, we're not gonna announce who won the award. Just I'm saying what the significance of the award. Just kind of just your thoughts on putting that together, how we came how it came about. Just general. We're not announcing who won it yet, Haven.
All right. So we're gonna talk about how he came about it, man.
Yeah.
The award is in honor of our good friend, a fellow main eventer, a guy near and dear to our heart, Joe Kelly, whose Twitter handle was That's Boys Good with that exact same graphic. So we decided to go ahead and name the player of the week in his honor. So every week we're gonna name, like you said before, we'll name a player. And when it's basketball season and football season, we'll name two. One for basketball, one for football.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and Roman, I know that, we want to make sure, and I feel like it's the perfect, like that boy good is like the perfect moniker to go along with the most outstanding player for the University of Louisville on the weekend. To me, it's perfect. What do you think?
I think it is. I think it's absolutely perfect. I think Joe Kelly is the epitome of getting hyped up and getting excited about the key players for both Louisville football and of course basketball. But we'd already heard the things he had to say about Isaac Brown. We'd already heard that how he raved about Tyler Shuck last year. He had high expectations for that Louisville
Oh
team
yeah,
last year. And when somebody who had such a big impact on so many different Louisville Cardinal fans and was such a big Louisville Cardinal fan himself and had a pride in Louisville succeeding in athletics, right? I think
yeah,
with the way that he went about life and the way that he was always that electric kind of a person, we need to highlight that player for us each week. I think in honor of him, who did such a good job of being a Louisville Cardinals fan. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
this is it here right now. We've like you said, we took the picture from his Twitter handle, and then that boy's good was his hit Twitter handle, and he was, like we just said, the epitome of highlighting the good things that were always happening with Louisville sports. So that's what we're going to continue to do in his sake each and every week of the football season going forward. Not really something we'd have to stop for basketball, but I think football, it has a little bit of a heightened week by week consensus on players and their performances. So
Absolutely.
that boy good player of the week, I feel like is perfect for the football seasons going forward in honor of Mr. Joe Kelly. That boy's good himself, and how he would feel about the performances week in and week out.
Absolutely. No, I mean, and Joe was all about aggressiveness. Joe was always talking mess. He was talking crazy. He was unapologetic, and he was always going to say what was on his mind. So, definitely the players that, pretty much exemplify that type of aggressiveness is going to be a big part of, the selection of who gets that on a week by week basis. And we'll make sure we push this out to all our social media channels. And it's going to, we're going to make sure that tag the players. It's going to be like an official award. So the players are going to know they get the award. The university is going to know that the award is coming out. So we wanted to do it big, and we wanted to do it right, which is why we took a little bit of extra time this week. But we wanted to make sure we got it out there, and we will announce the first winner of that award a little bit later on. But fellas, we got to talk about it. We got to before we um, get into what's upcoming on Friday versus James Madison, we got to look back. All right, this is the first time that we've all been together to talk about the game and to talk about, what happened, what you like. Different people take different meaning from that first game, especially when that game is a FCS opponent. It's definitely not a D1 opponent. Eastern Kentucky played in a lower level league. Without a doubt, they did make the FCS playoffs last year, even though they did lose in the first round to Villanova. But it's at least one of the better FCS programs. So definitely a step up from what Austin P was last year. But at the end of the day, it was an FCS program. So I'm going to ask you first, Roman. Just do you think, because there are some people that say they don't take anything out of the game. Some people say that pretty much I've heard the announcement I've heard from a lot of fans and from a lot of people, media members, like the folks that really don't take anything out of this basically kept, if there were players that they liked, they still like those players. If there's players that, or situations they didn't like, they still didn't like it regardless of the outcome. Roman, do you think you can actually see things that you think are going to foreshadow what the rest of the year is going to look like? Do you think people that we can get something out of what happened last Saturday?
Yes and no, right? I
Okay.
think I think you can't ignore penalties against an EKU squad, right? If it's happening against DKU, I have reason to believe it's going to happen against everybody unless it gets emphasized, fixed. Everyone's on the same page about why it's happening and what needs to happen to make it better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, week one of the season, a lot of new pieces getting into to more playing roles, guys becoming more important, guys going into leader roles, a lot of shifting parts, even with the continuity we've been able to have. There's still been a lot of shifting. I think that you could take away some things, but you can't take away you shouldn't put too much emphasis on anything. Right. I think
Yeah.
Miller Moss being able to look comfortable in the pocket, things that you would want to see at any level, at any point, any drill, in any stage of playing football, that's a must to be an elite player at that position, right? Miller Moss did a few of those things. Um, Isaac Brown, it looked like he didn't miss a beat from the last time we saw him on the field. It looks like he's improved at every quality that we felt like he had high qualities in. Um, but the offensive line's going up against talent on that defensive line that you can't really say is going to be subject to judge because it's going to change.
Right.
It's going to be better talent. Same on
Right.
the flip side. You're going up against an offensive line like Clev Lubin. Yeah, he looks great. Can he go look great up against this James Madison offensive line that unfortunately I don't think is going to be significantly better than EKU's, and there's still
Yeah.
not going to be a lot we can take away from just that little one aspect. But can you go do that against the Pitt offensive line, right? Against
Right.
those real big bodies. We're still not going to be able to know that. That's a player that was. We've got guys that are coming in from places that they played at a high level. Can they come play at a high level against ACC talent? That's the one issue about playing these kind of games early on, Raashaan, is that you can't judge certain things, right? But players looking comfortable, players knowing where they're supposed to be, players running crispy routes, player skill player positions not holding, right? Those are all things that it doesn't matter who the opponent is. You can get those right on your own. So you can take
Yeah.
away those things, and those things that do exist on the football side as well, right? Just the tenacity, the ability to go hard every single play, right? You can take away that stuff all looks good. So, but you don't want to take away too much and get yourself disappointed either, right? Because
Yeah.
then first time you get your ass kicked, you don't understand where it's coming from, right? The
What
first time
happened?
Kevin
Yeah.
Jennings comes out to town and runs for 60 yards up the gut for a touchdown, you're like, what the fuck? And now, you didn't understand why it was coming, but now uh, that's that's why you don't make any drastic statements on what the season's supposed to look like from those first couple of games against these kind of opponents.
Yeah.
But it'll also give you hints on what the good can look like as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Haven, what do you think? Do you think there's anything that we can take away from the performance that Louisville had out there on Saturday?
But I agree with Roman, but I think there are some things you can take away because some things we saw last year, even against Austin P. We kind of saw how Louisville wasn't as organized on defense as we thought they should be last year. And that showed up in their first two games. This year, what you could take away is that they are organized, right? They are lined up like they're supposed to be lined up. They're communicating on defense like they're supposed to be communicating. Guys are coming in and out with plenty of time left on the clock to make adjustments. So, all that has, been changed from last year. So that's something you can definitely see, and I think we can build on. We also the same thing, the holding, the over 100 yards in penalty was inexcusable, especially against FCS opponent. You really have to get that cleaned up. But those are things I think you can take away from this is that Miller Moss has a tendency to stare down his wide receivers. And hopefully, as the season goes along, that they kind of correct that. They can see that in film and kind of, get that corrected and get that fixed. So hopefully, you won't see it more than one or two games. Well, than that, I think you learned what you could learn. You learned a lot about your backups, about dudes. It came in at the reliever's quarterback, with Brady Hoke coming in as quarterback. So, you learn some things a little about how guys handle pressure, what they see, what they don't see. Um, but yeah, those.
Oh well, there we go. Well,
We
hey,
lost you there for a second.
yeah, I think we may have lost here for just a second, but no, I'll say this is that I feel like you can take some things out of it, but like you said, Roman, you can't really judge anything on the lines offensively or defensively because that's always gonna be a mismatch. That's why I think that what I'll call it is the 7-on-7 skill sets, the stuff that you would see in a 7-on-7 passing tournament, whether it be, you know, the running back making moves, making guys miss, getting into the open field. The timing between the quarterbacks and the receivers, is the quarterback
That's
getting the ball
huge.
out on time and on target? How quickly is Miller Moss disseminating the information to figure out where he needs to go with the football? Is he getting the ball out on time? Is it on target? Those types of things are the things that I can look at. And then I think defensively, like you said, Roman, it's about just everybody looking like they're on the same page, and are guys in the right places. When the linebackers are covering and rolling up, are the right guys filling in behind them to ensure that there's not a bust in coverage. Those types of things are what I think you look at and you want to focus on in that game. So I do think that there are certain things you can take from it, and people that just act like you just can't take anything away from it, I think is um I don't I question how much you know about the game of football if you feel that you can't take anything from it, because I definitely think you can. Now, if you have a team, like say you just have a team that wants to go out there and just run goal line offense and just bully a team down the field and just take advantage of their strength of their line, their offensive line, you can't really take much out of that. If you're going to just
Yeah,
kind of line up,
they didn't do
because
anything.
yeah, you didn't do anything. That doesn't show you anything. But when you go out there, that's why, and I know we're going to kind of get into the nuts and bolts of what happened in the game. But I love the way Louisville went about attacking this game. I love the game plan and what Jeff Brom wanted to do in terms of getting Miller Moss, in my opinion, comfortable in the passing schemes and putting a lot of pressure on Moss to go out there and see what he's reading, make the proper reads, and deliver the football on time. And I think that was something that was very intentional because, we could have lined up and just handed the ball off to Isaac and handed the ball off to Duke over and over and over again. But what are you going to get out of that? I mean, we saw what Isaac Brown did. So, you know, and to that end, Roman, well, actually, Haven, I'm going to let you go first. Haven, you back with us? You good?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, you sound good. You sound real good. So Haven, I'm gonna go to you first on this one. What are the biggest couple of takeaways that you took out of this game? Of course, we knew Louisville was gonna win. They could have pretty much named the score. They scored 41 points in the first half. What are your biggest takeaways from the game, or what things did you like about what we saw against EKU?
My biggest takeaways were the organization on defense. Right?
Yeah.
It was a lot of organization. They knew where they wanted to be. They were lined up. They got the plays in on time. They substituted on time. Everybody knew what they wanted to do. There was great communication on all levels of defense. That was, I think, the biggest thing that I took away. The things I think that most people kind of really took away from watching the game. Like, we already knew that Colin Lacey was super explosive. We already
Yes.
knew what Isaac Brown was, right? So we already knew what Chris Bell was. Like all these were known factors. We had a pretty good idea. The offensive line was pretty good, but we also knew they probably weren't going to get tested all that much, which they weren't. We had some questions about how good the defensive line was, and they looked to be pretty good. The ones got a lot of pressure. We brought pressure with blitzes. We were in a 4-2-5 most of the game, and we're still able to shut down pretty much anything EKU wanted to do, which is what you want to see from your ones. That's all good stuff. I think the only thing that may have given me caution the entire game
Mm-hmm.
uh, was Miller Moss has a tendency to stare down his receivers. That actually led, I think, to a second interception on a deep pass because the wide receiver had separation. One, he was a little late with the throw, but two, he kind of stared him down, which allowed the safety to come all the way across the field to make a play on the ball.
Yeah.
So if he can kind of get that under control, stop locking in on his receivers, we should be pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Roman, what were your biggest takeaways? What are the biggest things you liked about what you saw out there?
Yeah, that Miller Moss can make the throws that we're going to need him to make. I think that he was comfortable. The pocket offensive line, at least in the pass protection, looked good. It looked like it was going to give him the time, and he looked like he knew where every progression was supposed to be and how to go through them. So that's obviously a plus, right? I think the when he has to get on the move, I'm still a little worried about that because that's kind of what happened with the first interception, right? And I'm not going to ever blame him for the second one. I get he telegraphed it a bit where he was looking, where he was headed, gave that
He put it on his hand. I mean,
just
he
enough
put it on
time
his
for the
hand.
safety to make a play. He put that in Meek's hands.
Yeah, yeah.
He put it on a string, and
They
it was
say
a dime.
if you get two hands on the football, you got to catch it.
You need to
So
come down with that. That needs to be a completion right there. But I'm not going to go into that. That's a freak
yeah,
accident. That's unnatural. That doesn't happen very often on a football field.
yeah,
But the first one, that's the little stuff. He had another throw on the right side where Meeks was on a dig route. He just puts it too high, and with two defenders coming, where if it wasn't a perfectly placed ball, absolutely Meeks wasn't going to be able to have enough time to come down with it and make a play because the defenders were right there. That's not the best play out there. You had Lacey in the flat in that same play. Lacey could have caught it, went down. That would have been the end of it. I think that he still just has to work through all of the decision making and make sure he's making the right decision every single time and not trying to force anything. And you got to, like Haven said, you got to work out the telegraphing. I think that the offensive line in the run game should have opened up more gaps for the Isaac Brown and Duke Watson. I get Duke Watson only had 2 carries. He got stuffed on both.
yeah,
Didn't create
yeah.
anything for him, and he clearly was under the impression that there was a direction he needed to go. So
Hmm.
I want to see the run game actually open up things for these to capitalize on the speed of Isaac Brown and Duke Watson, not necessarily their vision, their agility, their quickness, and everything, right? Their strength and their speed, because they kind of, Isaac created the 2 holes that he found for his touchdowns. He had
Yeah,
to get through contact technically for him. So
yeah.
I want to see that get a little bit better. But like you said, I'm not going to go too heavy into anything. I'm not going to say that the defense is ready for prime time. Defense had a couple of plays where they were technically not, by the inch in the right position. I feel like that needs to get worked through, but that's a film thing. You work through that with film. That wasn't a miscommunication thing or being in the wrong spot because for the last 3 seconds of the snap, you're looking over at the sideline and never actually got in the right spot to begin with. There's none of that going on, so that's good.
Yeah.
I feel like the defensive penalties actually, like, there was a couple that I just didn't really agree with, and there was a couple that were bad.
Hey, them officials was on one. I'm
Uh,
sorry, but it felt like they were like Louisville, welcome back to the terrible officiating, just like 2024. We're gonna be terrible again in 2025. So I hate to be that dude, but it definitely felt like you saw Chris Bell get suplexed out of bounds. Don't throw a flag for unnecessary roughness. And then Chris Bell kind of gets his little bit of a get back with a little bit of a shove, a little elbow. He just gave him a love tap, and you're going to call a personal foul on that. That's ridiculous.
just reminding us who we are. That's what they're doing. Nothing comes easy for us, and we're gonna make it harder on you. That's all it is. But I felt like the offensive penalties were the ones that were unforgivable.
Yeah,
The defensive ones, I feel like in that early season game one, you're finally playing against opposition and not your teammates. It's going to be a little bit normal. Just getting the works out. The offensive penalties those are unacceptable. I think
yeah,
that those have to be completely worked out. I'm not going to get too worked up about the interceptions, even though I had the bold take on the radio about Miller Moss maybe being a quarterback who's going to come in here and throw more interceptions that Jack Plummer did and that Tyler Plummer did, or Jack Plummer and Tyler Shuck did.
yeah,
And now he's on path for that. He's officially ahead of schedule on that in terms of games to opponents. So or opponent quality. So if it's you got to get that throw to Trayshawn down. Those kind of throws, he knows. He knows that though. As soon as he threw it,
yeah,
you could tell. He could tell he knew. That'll get worked, and then you'll also probably get a little bit more into the playbook if this game ends up a little bit closer. The playbook wasn't too extravagant either. The fact that they
no,
were able to handle
no,
business with super basic out routes every time they were basically throwing the ball, a couple different post routes. They didn't do anything too extravagant. They had the one jet sweep for Lacey, which they didn't get a gap, and he still found 4 yards. Like they we just were too athletic for EKU at that point, and the defensive side was their more athletic side. So JMU is going to be a little different, but Rashawn, that we'll get into it. But the athletes on that side are,
Yeah.
not far off from a couple of the guys on the EKU team side.
Just to let everybody know, upcoming in the second half of this show, me and Roman just both happened to watch the JMU game today. So you're gonna get like the most in-depth breakdown of JMU that you will get anywhere on the radio. Because I guarantee you, there's not another media entity that watched that full game, we both watched that whole game. So definitely stay tuned for that. But no, Roman, you're totally right. I'll tell you that the biggest takeaways for me and the biggest things that I loved about it. First of all, I loved Miller Moss. Like I kind of give him a pass on those last two plays because it felt like Louisville was in such control that that first pass to Trayshawn Hurry that was quick. It's kind of like when everything is working so well, you kind of relax and your fundamentals get lax for just a second. And when you let your fundamentals lax, maybe you don't set your feet as well. Maybe you don't throw the ball with that same exact zip. It felt like it was one of those, okay, you let go of the rope a little bit. You didn't stay sharp, and that cost you a pick six. I think
Yeah,
that's something that you can learn from. But the things that I loved about what I saw from Miller Moss, I wanted to see if his arm was live. And he has a live arm. When he gets that ball out, oh, look at Haven's pretty face. Look at Haven is in
the
the building.
power,
Look
the
at it.
power and the precision are there.
The velocity on the passes. Like the most important thing for a quarterback is A, to have velocity, and to B, have accuracy. And he had both of those things. And the thing that Louisville's going to take advantage of, this is why Roman, I
The
know that
timing could be a little bit better.
the time. Well, I think the timing was there. I think that you want to make sure that you're getting the ball placement perfect so the guys can do something with it after they catch the ball.
Yeah,
And while he was good with that some of the time, that's where I think he needs to fine tune a little bit. But the thing you got to understand, Roman, is especially we're going to see a lot defensively, we're going to see a lot of what we saw against EKU versus several of our opponents. The EKU was going out there and stacking the box. They were bringing eight, maybe even eight and a half, almost nine guys into the
yeah,
box.
stunting. They were stunting the guy.
Yes, to make sure that Isaac Brown didn't beat him. But the thing is, what you got to understand is this: is that
Isaac
when you're going to have what do you say, Haven?
Isaac Brown still beat him.
Yeah,
Still beat
right,
him.
right. With that, but see, the thing is this, okay? If you're going to set up your defense that way, what defenses do? If you're going to bring eight or nine guys into that box, basically your two corners or your corner, your safety, however you're going to defend any of the receivers, you have to have those guys pushed back 10 to 15 yards because you can't get beat over the top because everybody's so close to the
Touchdown.
line of scrimmage.
Touchdown.
So what you saw out there with Miller Moss making those quick passes, we're going to see a lot of that because those guys got to play off. And if you're going to play off, then we're going to throw the ball. It's going to be an extension of the running game. We're going to get the ball out, throw it that 3 or 5 yard pass, and let Chris Bell work. Let Colin Lacey work. Let Antonio Meeks work. Let
Chris Hughes
whoever
looked
out
like
there.
he was ready to
Chris
work after the
Hughes.
catch.
Like, so you're gonna see a lot of that. Like, I know that a lot of people think that Louisville's gonna become this kind of, we're gonna run the ball 40, 50 times. I don't think that's the case. I think that Louisville's still gonna throw the ball a lot because that's gonna be what's available. Because you have to respect what, you know, Isaac Brown and what Duke Watson can do running the football. So you have no choice but to put 8 men in the box. But that means that, you know, Miller Moss is going to eat. All of our receivers are going to eat.
I think the backs are going to eat as receivers as well, Rashawn. I mean,
Absolutely.
you saw Kiwan. Kiwan got the one that got called back. He
Yes.
slammed into a guy, made the next guy miss, and he was gone. And
Our
he
top
caught
three
that in the
running
flat. He
backs
caught that
are
in the dump off.
receiving threats.
Yeah.
Like now that Duke Watson, because Duke Watson wasn't doing anything in the passing game last year, and this man made a catch up the sideline on that wheel route as good as any wide receiver on the team. So if he can do that, we already know what Isaac can do. He did it as a wide receiver, out in routes last year as a receiver out of the backfield. And now that Keywan Brown and Duke Watson are there too, I don't know how you defend this Louisville offense with this many weapons. Like all of those guys looked very sure-handed. Everybody looked like they knew where they were supposed to be. I liked what I saw from the tight ends. What we saw from Jaleel Skinner, even though Skinner only had a couple of catches, that one catch where he makes a little wiggle move and gets around the outside, gets like a 15-yard completion. To me, Miller Moss looked very comfortable, and with the velocity he puts on the ball, Louisville's going to have an opportunity against just about anybody to put up a lot of points. So I saw everything I needed to see. I think the biggest thing I'm excited about, I already knew that Isaac Brown was that man. So 6 carries, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. Isaac, we already know who Isaac is. But what Duke Watson showed me in the passing game, what I saw from the glimpses of Jaleel Skinner, what I saw from Chris Hughes, what I saw from Antonio Meeks, those were the biggest things I like offensively. And Haven, you said it, defensively, I just like the fact that the defense, everybody looked like they knew where they were supposed to be, and they rallied to the football. They played aggressiveness. They played together. I'm gonna tell you what. The one thing where I never believe in addition by subtraction. So the fact that Ashton Gelati's gone, the fact that Quincy Riley's gone, the fact that Corey Thornton is gone, and all three of those guys are made 53-man opening day rosters. I don't think that Louisville is better without those guys. But the one thing I think having those guys gone, it really feels like Ron English had last year. It was kind of one of those things. Hey, everybody, let's just stay back and play zone. We know we got this beast in Gelati on the line. We're gonna let Gelati. We're gonna move him inside. We're gonna move him outside, and kind of let him do everything, and just trust he's gonna get it done. And we're gonna be really passive with everybody else. That whole thing has changed. That whole defensive scheme was different. Everybody was more aggressive. Everybody was engaged. Everybody had a job, and they're doing it. And I know it seems like a weird or a simple thing to say, but I think the fact that Louisville's going to play more team-oriented defense, I think they're better for it.
Go ahead, Haven.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It'd be interesting to see like how they react and how much pressure we can get against better offenses, with bigger offensive lines, more athletic offensive lines. That's going to be interesting. But the basics right now are there, which we didn't see last year. Even against Austin P and our little tune-up games, you still saw communication issues and things of that nature. Now that's all taken care of. Now I'm going to be interested to see is like how talented are these guys really,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
we'll find out in the next couple of weeks.
no, absolutely. But and like even the pressure schemes, the fact that Louisville was bringing 5 or 6 guys almost every snap, which is something we didn't see. Louisville was pretty much only bringing 4. 80% of the snaps, 85% of the snaps, we were only bringing 4 and basically playing zone behind it with everybody else. Whereas in this game, we saw a lot more man on the outsides, safety coverage over the top, and 5 or 6 guys engaging on the line every snap almost. So like I
That's what
want
you
to see.
need. That's what you
Yes,
need.
yes, yes. I agree.
If you've got the athletes out there on the outside, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe in the speed of your team, you believe in the athleticism of your team, you need to go out there and say, "Hey, cover. We're gonna get there because we're gonna bring 5 or 6. So we're not gonna let that quarterback just stand back there like a statue. You have to be able to defend your man for 3 to 5, 6 seconds tops. Can you do that? Can you hold up for 5 to 6 seconds? If you're the athletes we think you are, Jabari Mack, if you are who we think you are, Johnson,
Rodney Johnson, yep.
Rodney Johnson, if you are D'Angelo Hutchinson, if you're the guy in the middle at safety, if you are who we think you are, you should be able to hold up. Same thing for all of those guys. Antonio Watts as well. You should be able to hold up and do your job for 3 to 5 seconds. And Roman, I don't have a problem with that.
I agree. I agree 100%. I think you have an emphasis now on the ways in which when you do that, what can beat you. Late QB runs is about the one thing that can beat you, or insanely fast receivers, right? I think we've got the
Yeah,
speed now from what I saw. I get it's going up against DKU receivers, so I'm not going to be certain yet. I can't be.
yeah,
And I'm not going to be able to be fully certain after a JMU team, but they do have a couple more guys that are going to be able to be explosive for in the passing game. They're not going to have the time though. So if this defensive line looks the same way, I think that the key the key to our defense this season is going to be not having to rely on the secondary, and you do that by sending pressure,
yeah.
and your linebackers knowing exactly where to be, knowing how long you run your zone in the middle, how long you wait to shadow and stuff. You as long as we don't get beat up over the middle, I love exactly what we're doing right now defensively. That is the one issue though is when you send this many, Raashaan, you have one less guy out there to in the zones at least to be some to a placeholder in the middle to deter a quarterback from going that direction. Now we have to have the coverage, but we
Well,
should. We've
hey,
got
and
the
I tell you
pieces.
what, the linebacker depth was much better. We saw pressure, but we saw the linebackers make sure they're getting good depth so they're not getting beat. Because the biggest thing is we had our safeties or defensive backs, you know, 15 yards back, usually 15 to 20 yards back, and our linebackers were right up on the line, and that left a big void in the middle of the field. And teams would just kill us in the middle of the field last year, over and over and over again. Or if that quarterback broke contained, there's nobody in the middle field, so he's not getting touched until he's 15 or 20 yards down the field. So like those little technical adjustments that looked a lot better, it at least gives me hope that it's going to be better. And that's all you can ask for. I think that what you saw in week 1 versus an FCS opponent, I don't think you could have been. Yes, you don't like the fact you had 2 cheap interceptions, and yes, we got to see Vito Tisdale run one into the end zone and act like a jackass. But you may not like that, but at the end of the day, I think those 2 plays were immaterial to what you can take out of that game. It's just one of those fluky things. Football is a weird sport. Weird crap happens. So I'm okay with that. As far as any other concerns, like I'll start first with this one. Just my biggest concerns to come out of it. Um, for me, of course, like you said, Roman, cleaning up the penalties. I think that's just going back because I think there was at least 5 or 6 holds on wide receivers, either in kick return situations or blocking downfield. And I think that's just more of a, hey guys, make sure you're not grabbing on the outside of the shoulder pads. Keep them in close in the middle, and if they get away from you, let them go. Like, because our play, we got playmakers. Trusting your guys to do, make the play. You did your job. You had your hands on them as long as you could. Then just let them go. I think that can be cleaned up. The only other thing that I have not necessarily concerns with, but I don't really know what we have. That's in the special teams. Not necessarily with the return game. I think the Colin Lacey's great. I like what I saw in the kick return game as well. But punting, I don't know. Punting didn't really show me anything.
That looked tough.
And the kicking
Two
game.
both kids. I mean, the one kid, did he miss the extra point?
Yeah, well, the ball hit the ground. The ball hit the ground, and the holder lost control. He dropped it, tried to get it set up, and it fell again. And so basically, the kicker was kicking the ball flat on the ground. So yeah, there was nothing that really
And
could be
then
done about that.
Cooper Ranvier, the other field goal, he almost missed his.
Yes, yeah, they were both kind of like right inside the right upright. So like those are like my biggest questions are, let's clean up the penalties, but what do we have in the punting and kicking game? I don't really know. So
Yeah, the one
those are
punt was
probably my biggest
terrible.
questions. Yeah. Yeah. Any other concerns for you guys and takeaways before we get to the announcement of the inaugural play that boy good player of the game?
Like I said, the only bad things I can think about, you kind of brought up some with the kicking game, the punting game, of course the holdings. You would like to see your defense at least turn over EKU at least once or
Fair.
twice. Uh, so not getting any turnovers may not be the biggest concern, but something to keep in the back of your mind that we did not get any
Didn't
We were
turnovers
force any
saving them.
and we
turnovers.
lost.
We were saving them for James Madison, Haven.
Yeah. Hey, but I tell you what, but they were
Hopefully,
going 3 and out so fast. I mean, they were pretty much shutting their wad off. So like literally, it was like 3 plays and you're punting. So not a lot of opportunity to force turnovers because they were doing such a good job of playing sound position defense. And credit to EKU, they didn't put the ball on the ground. Their receivers were sure-handed. They didn't have any tip balls up in the air that gave our safeties an opportunity to make plays. So I mean, EKU played solid football. They just
they played a very
weren't good enough.
but you would still like to be that's you just don't want to lose the turnover battle three
Yeah,
zero because that's just never a good look. Penalties, like I said, once Miller Moss staring down receivers, he has to get that cleared up. But I think as the season goes along and he gets more comfortable offense and knows more of the offense and realize he has a running game, doesn't have to stare people down, I think that will change a little bit. Because I was thinking back to Tyler Shuck last year, and he caught on kind of quickly, but Also, I have to remember one that Tyler Shuck has been was in college like 12
Yeah,
years. One, but two, he had transferred like two or three times. He's had two or three different offensive
yeah,
coordinators, so he's gotten used to learning new systems. This is the first new system that Miller Moss has to
yeah.
learn.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a
So
great point. I mean, and I think that as him and his receivers get more comfortable at game speed, because you can do everything you want in practice, but game speed and game situations are completely different. Colin Lacey dropping those two passes, that is what it is. Those are two catches he should have made. He hit him right in the chest both times, and he just dropped. He just got caught, looking upfield before he saw the
Don't make
football.
that a realistic thing.
Yeah,
That's all I
yeah.
ask. Let
Any
that
other
be some
concerns
game one
for
shit. If
you,
it's
Roman?
game one shit, fine. I
Yeah,
don't want to. I don't. Ja'Cory had about 6, 7 drops too many last year. We don't need that again.
yeah. Yeah,
Lucky he didn't turn
absolutely.
into an interception on this first one.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
yeah,
That's fair. Any
definitely.
other concerns
So
before we
like
make our announcement of the player of the game or the player of the week?
I, honestly, for me, that's I think that's it.
Okay,
That's
well,
it for me.
Roman, go ahead and bring the graphic up, and we are going to announce the inaugural That Boy Good Player of the Week in honor of the late great Joe Kelly. And congratulations. Let's go ahead and drum roll. Where we got? We got that. We got our graphic, Ron.
Just
Maybe.
about. Give me 1 second here.
Come on, producer. You're supposed to have that on hand immediately. So it just pops up as soon as I say it like magic. There we go. Congratulations, Isaac Brown, the inaugural Dat Boy Good. Wake Up 502, Dat Boy Good Player of the Week. There was a couple of different ways, fellas, we could have gone with it. With Colin Lacey was definitely up there, considering that Colin Lacey had the second longest punt return in the history of U of L football, 204 all-purpose yards. He was outstanding. Clev Lubin, we discussed that as well. Clev with two big sacks, including like a water boy hit on that first sack. It was unbelievable. I think that he could have definitely gotten this award, but I think that for the inaugural That Boy Good Player of the Week, there would be none better than Isaac Brown. I feel like Joe Kelly would have loved that. Isaac came out there, handled his business. He proved that he's the man that has the wallet in his back pocket that says "bad mofo," and he handled his business. 6 carries, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns, and basically kept EKU in mortal fear every time he was in the backfield. And basically, Isaac Brown being in the backfield without even carrying the ball basically got all of his receivers wide open catches over and over and over again. So, fellas, what did you think about Isaac's performance? He was named ACC Running Back of the Week. Is this guy going to put his name into this Heisman race? Because that's what I heard rumblings of that. What do y'all think about that?
He is, Raashaan. That's exactly what he's going to do. Unfortunately, it may take him like 4 games just because the opponents and the technology systems and the computers might not view his performances just enough to granted, not his stats are good, but look who he's going up against and who he's beating. It's not going to be enough to skyrocket him. But once he's doing this against Pitt, against Virginia Tech or Virginia, and against Miami, then they're going to be. It's You're not going to be able to deny him at that point.
And don't
Raashaan,
underestimate Roman. Like what this opportunity. I know that there's going to be NFL game. I know Kansas City's playing in San Juan or wherever they're playing this game on Friday night. Um, this is going to be the only other game on, so there's going to be a lot of
yeah.
eyeballs on there. And anytime you're
Well,
under the
yeah,
light,
yeah.
there's going to be some hype that if Isaac Brown can come out there and put on a show, there's going to be some hype that comes out of that just because there's no other games on. If this game was on Saturday afternoon, nobody would be watching it. But I think you're going to get 4 times the
So,
audience you would normally, I would think.
I think so too. The
well,
NFL
to me,
playing the game on the YouTube is going to make it weird, but we should be all right.
Yeah.
it should be. But to me, the interesting thing about when you watch Isaac Brown's performance against EKU is you could tell he's gotten better than he was
Yeah.
last year,
And faster.
right? He's gotten better. He's gotten faster. His vision is much better because on that 31-yard touchdown he ran, the where it's supposed to run was actually sealed up. EKU did a good job of taking the rushing lane away, and he saw that cutback out of the corner of his
Yeah.
eye, and the cutback twist his shoulders when the guy went to grab his shoulders, skate through the line, and then just hit full speed and was gone.
Hey, and I tell you what, man, the second one, the 65-yard Roman, when he made, because he first, Isaac kind of stumbled at first. He makes the jump cut, and then it was like a matrix move. The dude was going full speed, but running like sideways to get, to clear his path to get up the field, and he was gone. But it was so weird because he was going full speed, but he wasn't going straight ahead. Does that make sense? It
He
was
he
like some Matrix shit. Like,
like he was at the NBA draft combine doing his side slide or something.
yes, yes.
He was sprinting. He like evaded it. He
It
got a
looked
hand. They
like
got a
Lamar
hand on him.
Jackson. It looked
They
like
got a
Lamar
hand on him.
Jackson.
He
Yeah.
turned his body to make that hand be basically powerless to stopping him. And then Raashaan, from that point on, what's crazy is there's three guys in lunging, tackling position at that point. And the quickness from when that shoulder gets back square, they never had a chance. They had the positioning. They were in position to get in front of him and still never had a chance because of that kind of quickness.
It's
He's
unbelievable.
quite literally lightning out there.
I mean, when you have a guy, fellas, that literally every play, the most benign handoff, you have a guy who can literally take it to the house every time he touches the football. It's an amazing, that is just an amazing testament to him. As you can see, Ralph Myers checking in on X, and please send in your if you have thoughts or comments, please send those out. Accolades well deserved. Ike Brown is the real deal. Go Cards. Absolutely, I totally agree. Like that's, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable performance, well deserved. I'm super excited to see how he backs that up against JMU on Friday. And congratulations, Isaac Brown. There can only be one inaugural winner of the Dat Boy Good Player of the Week award. And, I don't think Joe Kelly would have disagreed at all with our selection of Isaac Brown. So congratulations to him. And once
I,
again, just go, what do you say, Haven? What do you say, Haven?
I say you wouldn't disagree at all.
No, no, no. Isaac Brown was Joe's man. So absolutely. So that is the inaugural Player of the Week award. And you know what, fellas, it's time to turn our attention towards JMU. Haven, did you get to watch any of the JMU game at all? I know me and Roman were texting back and forth about it. Did you get to watch any of it?
I watched a couple of the
Okay.
highlights of them in Weber State, and that's about it. I was at the game last year, so I
Yeah.
did. I mean, 2 years ago, I did watch them when we played them before.
Okay.
But so much changes in 2 years. I did watch a little bit of them. Um, I know they're predicted to once again make the playoffs, uh, to be one of the top little up and coming teams coming
Yeah.
up. That would be like five. That's supposed to be scratching the surface of the group of five. The guys who can maybe make it.
Roman Kelly.
But from what I saw, I don't know.
Hey, Roman, I'm gonna let you go first. I'm not gonna say anything. I just want Roman's instance analysis. You went back, you watched the whole Weber State versus JMU game. Weber State, by the way, FCS program coming off a 4-8 season. They were horrible in FCS last year. They are not a good football team. They're looking to improve, but at the end of the day, not a good football team. What did you see? What did you think? What was your analysis of what you saw out there?
Initial analysis was so I'll admit I was a box score watcher for JMU last year.
Yes.
Barnett already looks like he's on path to running the ball more this year than he did last year. Maybe that's because of the induction of Sluka and the induction of plays already designed for quarterbacks that they're looking to incorporate even more this season. I don't know. But I know that he's the one that they trust to arm with, right? They don't have a good enough offensive line for that to even matter because he doesn't have the deep ball threat. The receivers don't have time to get open because they had so many changing parts this year that nobody on that offensive line they're not meshed together. They're not ready to be playing together. I think three or four new pieces on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And the way Weber State was able to get pressure on the outside nearly every single play against James Madison shocked me. That was my first initial reaction. I found they didn't seem to know who they were supposed to be guarding. If they sent more, if James Madison or if Weber State sent more than four, somebody got through nearly every time I watched. What was crazy was that Barnett was prepared for this. He was able to still get guys in the short passing game. A lot of stuff over the middle. Weber State was leaving the middle of the field wide open.
Yeah. And just to let
That
everybody know, this is a team that is significantly worse than the EKU team that Louisville played on Saturday.
very
Significantly
significantly worse.
worse.
He was pretty good. I mean, for FCS team, they made the playoffs
Yeah, no,
last
that's
year.
what I'm saying. Like this, like Louisville played at least in terms of FCS competition. You played one of the best teams that you can play at that level. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. But go ahead and continue, Ron.
I felt like they have two really good backs, Raashaan. The Petaway kid is not
Yeah,
supposed to be playing in the group of five. He's supposed to
yeah,
be backing up a really good back at a Power Five, maybe even SEC team. He's got that kind of ability to stay on his feet, drag guys, um, um, not lose a lot of speed when he cuts, right? And just
yeah.
for a power back, great quickness. Not that doesn't typically you don't really typically find that at a James Madison, but um, they also have another back. I forgotten his name already. Knight, maybe. I think
Yeah,
his
Knight
last
was
name's
number
Knight.
3, Knight, the small back,
The small
five
back,
foot seven, 190 pounds, I think, 5'7", maybe.
gonna be one of the fastest players out on the field, right?
He's fast.
These are only one of the only two guys, and he didn't have great vision. And as soon as you get a hand on him, he's going down. But he
Like
is
literally,
super quick.
I saw one of the Weber State defensive linemen pick him up and throw him to the ground. He's
Yeah,
that
as
small.
soon as you get an arm on him, he's going down. He doesn't have the size to stay up, but he has the quickness, and he's going to be returning stuff as well. That's one thing you got to fear when you're scoring so much is you're also kicking the ball back to them is a lot as well. So we're going to have to watch out for him. That's really it. They had the Michael Scott kid from out their wide out, right? Who
Yeah,
could also was also playing in the slot too, right? He's pretty versatile.
yeah,
They were kind of moving all the receivers around because they brought in three new receivers. Their wide
yeah.
receivers 1, 2, and 3 are all new guys. Barnett can't really throw. He's not bad. He's not
No,
bad, but he doesn't have the downfield accuracy.
yeah,
Neither does Sluka. And
yeah.
and Mike said a great thing on the radio. I didn't really know how to describe this. Like I've heard, I'm watching it. I'm like, okay, this is that. You hate watching this kind of offense as a spectator when they
Yeah.
actually can't throw the ball because it's this run after run after run after run. Quick little option if we can get a short yardage gain, and then run, and then we're gonna somehow, some way out of nowhere, our play action is gonna work for a deep ball. Against Weber State, it did work a couple of times. It also didn't. They went 3 and out. They had some 3 and outs against Weber State, right?
Yeah.
That's not that's not acceptable for a JMU team going up against a Weber State team, and that's just because of the offensive line. At the end of the day, that offensive line is not big enough. It's not strong enough. I don't think that Sluka's very good. I'm not worried about what happens when he comes in because when he comes in, the arm he doesn't trust the arm talent. He's running the football when he gets in the game. Watch
Yeah.
the back, watch him. You know that's what's happening. The chances of him throwing it is not very high unless it's third and long. If it's third and long, he's probably
They
not going to
use
do
Sluka almost like Taysom Hill with the New Orleans Saints. Like
it.
when he
Yeah,
comes
except they
in,
just
they're
don't line
trying
him
to
out wide
basically,
too.
yeah,
It's
they're
a
trying to
direct
use
snap.
him as a power dive running back,
It's not
basically.
even QB draw. It's direct
No.
snap.
Yeah. Off
Mr.
tackle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's it.
and look, to piggyback on that, Roman, that was the thing that I noticed is that's why I don't really think and folks understand this. JMU, while they were in control of the game, they never put Weber State away. And this was a game they played their starters, Roman, until there was 5 minutes left in the game. Haven Harrington. They played their starters
They had
until 5 minutes left. It was a
Petaway
go ahead, Roman.
Petaway and Knight had to create everything for him.
Yeah,
Petaway and Knight had to create everything for him, and they could only really do so going to the outsides. They couldn't even get anything up the middle on Weber State. They had a few, they had a couple of them. but not consistently. They were
No,
not consistently
no,
finding gaps, and when they would get to the gaps,
No,
Weber State, the first person making the tackle would bring the back down.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's that's pitiful. I'm sorry, it's
Haven,
pitiful.
what were you gonna say?
what's so interesting is all week long, all I've heard about was JMU is a dark horse playoff team from the group of
That's
five.
because nobody
And
watched the replay of the game, Haven. Nobody's watched them. They're going off the preseason hype.
I kept hearing that, but when I watched the highlights, I was like,
The touchdowns look pretty. Go watch the three and outs. It's some ugly stuff.
I'm gonna say this from what I saw, the things I noticed. They leaned hard on just trying to take advantage of their athleticism and quickness running the ball. You're not going to able to do that against Louisville. You got to be a lot more dynamic because first of all, your offensive line is extremely small. Second of all, your running back weighs 100, maybe 175, 180 pounds at 5'7". That's very small. And thirdly, your quarterback's probably he's listed at 6 foot, 210. Barnett's probably closer to 5'10". He's a little guy. He's not much taller than the running back. And
Listen, people, they didn't score a touchdown in the third quarter.
no, they struggled. It was
uh,
a 17 or 18 point game in the middle of the third quarter. Like it was a game. Like JMU was having to fight against Weber State
It
in
was
this
10 to
game.
28. They were down 28-0, and then it was 10 to 28 because they couldn't score.
Yeah, yeah. Like all I'm gonna say is this: I do not believe in I don't believe in JMU at all. I think it's going to be barbecue chicken all day long. They look small. They are fast. That's the one thing I would give JMU credit for. They got some athletes. They have some speed, but they don't have any size. This is going to be a game, Haven, to me where what we talked about defensively with guys understanding that being in the right place, and if your defense is in proper position and everybody is keeping contained, I don't think JMU is going to be able to put up a lot of points, man. Like there was nothing about their offense. Like I keep seeing like James Madison Barstool, and I'm seeing some of these people come out talking about James Madison. Like watch out for this offense. This offense is dynamic. This offense has all these playmakers. There is not one guy, and Roman, you can tell me if you disagree. I don't see one guy that I believe can be a game breaker versus Louisville if they play solid, sound, fundamental defense.
It's circumstantial. I think Knight can be in the return game. I
Yeah,
think Petaway can be in the short yardage stuff, right? They've got the designs, they've got the options. They'll run Barnett enough to where you've got to hesitate that half second to get, and then with that, Petaway is going to have the head of steam, right? I think Barnett, there's a chance, right? There's no one's going to have that game breaking ability. There's the one defender that they've got who's not supposed to be at that in the group of five school. He played at Notre Dame. He's on the defensive line. He's massive. He's got the ability to come in and muck things up and make it dirty, but he's by himself doing so. So I'm not really worried about that. They don't have that game breaker. I think Michael Scott he's got some speed. He's got good hands. It looks like. Does he have game breaking, game changing ability? No, he wouldn't be a James Madison if he did. Um, and then Petaway, he does. He's every aspect of being a running back. It seems like
yeah,
Petaway is at an 8 out of 10 at, which is like
yeah,
a all around amazing football player. But he doesn't have game breaking speed. He doesn't have that. He's going to truck every single player in front of him kind of strength,
yeah,
right? He's just
yeah.
got a combination of so many good things that he's great. He looks great out there.
Right, but you're playing, but
Partially
it's a
because he's
four and
playing
eight
against
Weber
talent.
State. Right,
Yeah, he's
it's a
playing
four and
against
eight Weber
talent he's
State.
not supposed to be playing against. So
Like and understand, like JMU had to put up they had to put up two fourth quarter touchdowns in a game in which they were in a fight to score to get to 45 points. Louisville put up 41 points in the first half against a much better Eastern
40,
Kentucky team.
41-7 with our starters with 2 interceptions.
Yes, like in the first half. And it took until the fourth quarter with their first stringers to put up 45 points
And
against
and I get we shouldn't be
Weber
trying to
State.
compare JMU to Weber State and then Louisville to AK,
But
but these offenses are clearly on a different path right now. They're clearly already clicking
With
at a
a team
different rate.
that bad, Roman, I expect that James Madison at home, they should have been able to put up a 50 spot if you're going to play your starters well into the fourth quarter. In my personal opinion, like,
I think Weber State maybe missed a couple field goals. What was funny was Weber State was moving the ball in the first half.
oh yeah,
It was slow. They had to be methodical because they don't have the down speed presences either. The downfield presences with speed either. But
yeah,
that quarterback was finding things up the middle, like quick passes, 2 yard completion. They were getting 3 or 4 yards after the catch, right?
yeah,
They were doing that a little bit, and then they said they had to settle for field goals, right? If they wouldn't have been field goals to get their 10 points, they probably would have been better off. But
yeah.
um,
But yeah, I mean,
the
I
fact
just
that they weren't dominating from start to finish at
yeah,
every point against Weber State is a very, very big red flag.
I predict that James Madison, they have speed, but they don't have any. Their defense is very small. So
They
what
had
I
two
expect
bad broken coverages,
that they're
really
going to
bad.
have to.
One resulted in a touchdown.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're going to have to load the box, Haven. Like I see them bring pretty much the same game plan that EKU had. They're going to have to bring 8 or 9 guys into the box to deal with Isaac and Duke. And with that being the case, it's going to be more of the same. I think we're going to see a very similar type of Miller Moss get the ball out quick, let Chris Bell, let Colin Lacey eat, and if they beat one of those, defensive backs for JMU, there's going to be some house calls. I think there's going to be a few explosive plays. Louisville may have upwards of 5 or 6 explosive plays in this game that go for 30, 40, 50 yards. I could see that because James Madison is just so small. They are fast. I give them credit. They have athletes for that level. They're very, very fast. But I don't think they have enough. And I do see Robbie Dull checking in. Appreciate that, Robbie. He did ask, is 96.1 FM on iHeart? 96.1 FM is actually on the TuneIn app if you're going online trying to listen. So I appreciate you asking. We are not on the iHeartRadio app,
Or
but
the
we do,
JIE Media app, if you want to,
or
you
the
could try that as
JIE
well.
Media app. Yeah,
Or go to wakeup502.com. You just
there
stream
you
it.
go. Or
Wakeup502.com.
wakeup502.com. So we got plenty of ways to listen every Saturday morning, 9 to 11 a.m. But yeah, I like to me, I appreciate that. And Robbie actually had one other comment. I agree with him on the too many penalties. Robbie did also say, if we Louisville want to be in the conversation for the playoffs, our cards need to produce. I agree. Like to me, if you are a playoff team and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, you need to go out there with what I saw against James Madison and Weber State. What I saw last Saturday, Louisville should go out there and handle business. I'm expecting, like, I know a lot of people talked about this early. I'm expecting a 2 to 3 touchdown win on Friday night, tomorrow night. I just from what I saw, I think Louisville's on a completely different level. What do you all think?
I mean, like I said, I just watched the highlights of their game, but I agree. If you think you're going to be a playoff team, and if you want to start making separation with you and the rest of ACC, man, you got to drop a 42 piece on them at least. Like,
Haven, what I want you to do is go on tonight when you go snuggle up in the bed in your snuggie. I want you to go get a warm cup of cocoa, put on the ESPN app, and just watch at least the first half of the game, the JMU Weaver game. Like you'll see what I'm talking about. If you got time, go ahead and do that because I think it will. Anybody who has not watched them, and like I said, ain't no this. We are probably 100% of the media people that went out there and watched that whole game. Me and Roman, uh, go out and watch it. You will not come away impressed with James Madison. There's a lot of hope in what people expected for them to do this year, but yeah, I'm
you know,
just not seeing it.
actually, I feel bad because rather than watch JMU and Weber State, I actually went back and started watching Pitt and Duquesne instead.
You watch Pitt and
You're thinking too
Duquesne.
far ahead, Haven.
That
You
game
know,
was 61 to nothing. Like
hey,
they did exactly what JMU should have done to Weber State.
know what? I just wanted to see what they got going on. I watched Syracuse. I went back and watched a lot of ACC schools just to see, except Wake Forest. I'm not watching, but
Yeah, that was ugly. That'll put you to sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. You could not pay me to watch Wake Forest and Kennesaw State, bruh. Absolutely not.
176 people plus the three that we've got on the YouTube right now, about
Wow.
180 people total in here. Shout out to you guys listening live,
Definitely.
listening to the Wake Up 502 After Dark show. Fellas,
Hey,
I've got to ask,
don't
Haven,
forget
we'll start with you.
subscribe to us on YouTube. Main Event
There you
Sports.
go.
Subscribe, like, comment, share, send it to your group chat,
Please,
send it to your mother, send
please
it to
do.
your grandmother. She needs to be watching this as well. She doesn't need to be missing out on this. Send the link to her, drop it in her Facebook Messenger. All
Yes,
right, because we're on
we are a
Facebook
family
as
friendly
well.
podcast. We are Facebook, YouTube, X. We're everywhere. And
Fellas, I've got to
like I said,
ask,
go ahead,
Haven,
bro.
we'll start with you. What does Louisville need to do on the offensive side? What does Louisville need to do on the defensive side to ensure they cover this spread tomorrow night against James Madison?
Man,
What is
you
the
know what?
spread, by the way?
It's
It's
moved down to, I think it was down to 13 and a half and now back up to 14 and a half.
I
Okay,
mean, just honestly, just do exactly what you did against EKU. No different. Run the ball, play action, pass them over the top. Everybody got it healthy. Drop that 42 piece on them. Let's keep it moving.
I like that.
Yep, back up to 14 and a half, fellas.
Okay, okay.
Let's look at some percentages. We've got 94% of the money lines on Louisville, 61% of the bettors betting the Louisville spread, and 71% of bettors taking the over.
I
I'm
would definitely.
telling you, I'm telling you,
I'm on
like,
the over. I'm big on the over. I caught it at 54 and a half. I like it. I think Louisville does score north of 38 points in this game. I really do. With what I saw from that James Madison secondary, I think they're going to load the box up, and that secondary isn't going to be. They're going to have the pressure, and they're not going to have the bodies to stop Colin Lacey and Chris Bell from getting whatever they want after the catch. That's going to be my first key is making sure that our receivers eat and they eat well, because that's it's going to be the sides, maybe not open up the middle as much, but the sides and the cushion that they're going to get is should lead to multiple receivers in that 40 plus 50 plus yard range.
And
Um,
also expect our running backs to be more involved in the passing game this week than last.
did you guys notice a lot of the two back sets? It wasn't always
yeah,
Isaac and Duke. It was the Panarello kid. We actually had the fullback
yeah,
two back sets a lot.
yeah.
I expect him
I
to
love
throw
the
the back out
fullback.
there.
They did a lot of old school football with the
I like
fullback
that.
in
You can
there,
get
fellas.
creative like that now
Yes,
because the defenses aren't prepared for it. They don't see it. They don't know what to do with it.
yeah,
If that fullback knows how to run the ball or knows how to block, what he can do for you in the passing game with your other back, if you're trying to play shorter, you need that outlet when you're getting that extra block from someone who can also be a catcher. That's when
yeah.
things can get exciting and get fun. Those little flip passes and stuff like that. Stuff can get real exciting like that. So I'm excited to see what they do going forward with that. But I expect Haven. I think you're 100% right. I think the receivers. I mean, Duke. That's a wheel route. He turned into a receiver halfway through that route. That's not your typical running back type of catch or route. But if the I expect the running backs to have a big day in the receiving department. I expect a tight end to a couple different tight ends on the field. In that kind of scenario, if you're going to load the box with 8 guys, the tight ends in that curl route, they should be having all kinds of
Well,
time of day as
I would
well.
not be
So
surprised if we use the tight ends just to occupy the safety in the middle. They hit them deep.
Yeah,
I'm
sadly,
not mad at that either.
Nate Kariski got banged up, so we won't see him. So we're going to see a lot of Jaleel Skinner. And I'm gonna tell you what, talking to my buddy Steve Rummage, who was up whining because he didn't get a permanent pass. Steve is on the paper passes, and I was giving him a hard time. He brought it up on the show, had me cracking up. But Steve was had been talking to the tight ends coach and said that watch out for Jaleel Skinner. That they believe Skinner is going to be a big part of what Louisville does this year. I was impressed with him. I was also impressed with Davion Mitchell, the transfer from Oklahoma. He's a lot bigger than what I thought. So like he's a big physical guy. Like he's a guy that you would think could help in the run game as well as in the pass game. So I agree with you, Haven. I think that the quick passing game, get the ball out to your athletes and let them go make a play. Like this is a Chris Bell game. Chris Bell can go out there and absolutely murder the defensive backs for JMU. Honestly, I don't know if the defensive backs for JMU are going to be better than what we saw against Eastern Kentucky. Like I think Vito Tisdale is much better than anything that we'll see James Madison bring out there on Friday night.
Look for Colin
Honestly.
on the quick slant.
I'm right there with you, Sean. Rashawn, what are your key takeaways to win on the offensive side? Key takeaways on the defensive, or not takeaways?
Yeah.
Key
Factors. Yeah.
expectations. Yeah.
And first of all, Robbie Dole, shout out to you. He said he subscribed to YouTube now, so
Hell
thank
yeah.
you
Go
so much
subscribe to
for the
YouTube.
subscription, Robbie. And Robbie said we would never talk down to anyone, but damn it, it's time for Louisville to earn their respect. I absolutely agree. But you know what, Robbie? If they ain't gonna give you the respect, you gotta take it. And this is how you do. You go out there and you make an example out of James Madison on Friday night, and that'll be example number one. And we continue to do that week in and week out, and we take our respect. So that's the way I look at that. But as far as my um, biggest factors, I think that you want to be able to get out there, utilize that play action game, suck in all those guys, suck in those safeties, and I want to see them get the ball over the top. I want to see Colin Lacey get more involved in the offense. Like I like what he did in the return game, but in terms of being in the flow, Colin Lacey just didn't seem like he really got comfortable in the pass game against EKU. So like for me, him getting more reps and getting more comfortable, he had those couple of drops. He was probably the only guy on offense where I was like, okay, yeah, he had the 204 all-purpose yards. Yes, he was explosive in the return game, but it just seemed like he was a little out out of sorts in the offense itself. So I want to see Colin Lacey kind of get better with that. And I'm gonna tell you what, the other guy that I really like that I think is going to be a lot bigger part of the game plan than what I expected is Keywan Brown. Keywan Brown has changed his body. He looks to be a lot slimmer. He looks a lot faster, and he's playing hungry. So not only do you have a two-headed monster, Haven, you've said it, talked about the three-headed monster in the running back room. I wasn't ready to go that far yet, just because I needed to see what Keywan Brown was going to come back,
Don't
especially
do that.
going he went in the transfer portal. People thought he was going to Boise State. He ends up back at U of L, and he looks like he's on a mission to make plays. So when you got three guys like that, like you said, Roman, having two of those guys in the backfield, I think we might see some of that Isaac Brown at quarterback with the direct snap type of stuff. I think we might see some of that coming this to tomorrow evening as well. So
No, you think we'll see it that early?
I think we will. I think that Jeff Brom is going to throw a little bit out there. Like, don't be surprised if you see Isaac Brown direct snap tomorrow night. I think that we're going to start. It's going to be the Heisman campaign from here on out, fellas. I think every game they're going to try to do something different with Isaac Brown to get him on Sports Center. But I think
I'd love it. I'd love it if they did.
offensively, those are the biggest things for me. Defensively, just be solid. Be in the play. If you are in position, this team won't be able to score consistently. Yeah, Will Knight maybe get to the outside. We'll have a missed tackle and he take one 30 or 40 yards. He has the speed to do that. Will Barnett break contain, maybe get a run, get 15, 20 yards on a quick run because he just happens to make a guy miss. That could happen. But if you are consistently in position, I don't think James Madison can score more than I'd say 21 points max. I don't
Right there
think they
with
can
you.
score more than that.
Oh
I've got
wow.
him at 20.
Hey, I like it. I like it.
Absolutely.
I like
Roman, what about you? What are your biggest keys?
The defensive line has to make sure this offense never has a chance. Don't even give them a chance. Go out there, get in the backfield every time. Make Barnett feel you. Make Petaway feel you. Let Knight know that he's not cutting shit up, and take advantage of the game early. And don't let anything slip up on that defensive line, because them getting that run game established is the only thing they're going to have the ability to do to open up the pass game. Right? They don't have a traditional pass game. Their pass game comes from the unexpectedness due to the constant thinking that they're going to run the ball. Right? And then out of nowhere, boom, they fake the handoff. He steps out of the pocket 3 steps, and it's a quick little out route to the tight end, quick little out route to their fast receiver who they're not trying to get a lot of yards for. And they just try to quickly play real quick just to go slow after the snap, I feel like. So unless it's the pass game, I think you got to prevent them from having an advantage when they go up tempo. If you do that by getting the pressure and you get your pressure quick, and you send enough bodies, of course. They don't have the quarterback arm, I think, to go out there and beat you with just the quarterback. So I'm not really worried about that. And on our offensive side, just no errors. Just don't mess anything up. Win the turnover battle. No interceptions, if I'm being honest. At least not like that first one. No hitting a hand and the
Yeah.
ball popping up high because you
Stay
threw it too.
focused, man. Stay focused.
That velocity hurt him on that one play. Like
Yeah.
that's the one play that Jack Plummer would have threw it so soft that it would have hit his hand, but he would have had
Yeah.
enough time to watch it come down and catch it.
Yeah.
Miller's
Yeah.
slinging that thing, so
Slinging it.
he
His
doesn't have a you.
his
The
velocity.
faster you sling it, you've got to be accurate.
Hey Roman, I'm gonna tell you what. His velocity is at least as good as Shucks was last year. Like his velocity, hit on those short intermediate passes.
Yeah,
Like I knew he came in with that reputation, but his velocity,
it's right there with Shuck. I don't
yeah,
think it's the downfield strength is maybe is right. Shuck could feather
yeah,
it to 60 yards.
Shuck could bully it, but I think where he makes up for it, I think where Miller makes up for it is he's very good at anticipating the throw, so
Yeah,
he'll get it out there on time and put it on a rope. Like that pass to Duke Watson was an absolute dime. He didn't put too much
put it
air on it
only where Duke could get it.
and put it right there. It was beautiful. Yeah. So I mean, I know I agree with you. I'm super excited, man. I'm super excited for it. Ralph's checking in said it may have been the competition, but EKU, being EKU, but U of L looked like the best team in the ACC in his opinion. I mean,
I don't know. Miami looked good. Miami
Miami.
looked real good.
Miami looked good. Like Louisville and Miami probably were the two teams that impressed me a lot most. Clemson did not impress me much at all. Virginia Tech was okay. Their defense looked good, but you know, I don't know about Virginia Tech's offense. Like Drones still can't pass the football.
Mm-mm.
Like they're like a better James Madison.
He can't throw worth a shit. He can't
You
throw
know?
worth a shit. If that defense, what sucks is because that defense looks real this year. I
Yeah.
don't know how serious, but it looks real.
Yeah.
If they could just get some somewhat competent,
But see, but the
somewhat
thing is,
accurate
I don't know how
quarterback
good they
play,
are because honestly, Sellers didn't look much better than Jones throwing the ball down the
he
field
didn't look
either.
like a Heisman.
But I'm gonna tell you what, Nick Harbor, the wide receiver for South Carolina, whew, if that man is not the number one wide receiver taking the NFL draft, somebody's doing something wrong.
Yeah,
That kid
I'm
is
right
a
there with you.
monster. But I tell
Player
you
of the
what,
game.
Roman,
Player of the game tomorrow, Raashaan.
player of the game tomorrow. You know what? I think that the player of the game tomorrow, I think it's going to be Miller Moss. I think Miller Moss is going to kind of bounce back from that, because the numbers, when you look at it on paper, the box score, people think that Miller Moss didn't have a good game with one touchdown, two interceptions. Um, I think that he's going to come back. I think he's going to want to put a nice showing together. And I think he's going to be the player of the game. I think he's going to go out there. He's going to get it done. I'll give you my score prediction while I'm at it, and then you can do the same. Give me Louisville 49-21 final.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. I'm right there near that. I think Colin Lacey is going to be the player of the game. I
Okay.
think because the one touchdown and 105 yards from Isaac Brown is going to feel quiet compared to Colin Lacey's one touchdown and 120 receiving yards plus
Okay.
another punt return touchdown
I
and
like it.
to cap it off and to go and continue on his pathway of the most all-purpose yards in the ACC, like I predicted in the beginning of the
You
season.
did. You
And
did.
so I've got to call in Lacey player of the game. That's obviously going to take a Miller Moss pretty accurate game as well to make that
And you
happen. But
said,
I
and
think
what was that final score again?
I'm going 38-20.
38-20. Okay. 38-20. I like it. I like it. Well, I think we lost Haven Harrington. That cricket phone finally crapped out on him. I'm just messing with you, Haven. But I'm pretty sure Haven probably is going to give you something a little bit more conservative in the final score. But I'm excited for it, folks. We are by this time tomorrow. We will be Louisville will hopefully be 2-0. And like this man said right here, I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up. Louisville moves in silence. LFG, absolutely. They move in silence. They get it done. Hopefully, they move loudly tomorrow. I need them to put on a show. Ain't nobody pulling up YouTube to watch that terrible Chiefs game. That's not happening. But Roman, we're gonna get on out of here. Thanks everybody for tuning in to Wake Up 502 After Dark. We plan on doing this every week. Thank you guys so much. For Haven Harrington, this is Raashaan Myers and Roman Kelly. Hey, and without struggle, there is no progress, y'all.
Go Cards.
Go Cards. Peace.